Think. Is she with someone? A man, perhaps? Someone we could contact?
He teaches dramatics.
Where?
At a college in Cedar Falls.
Okay, we're back at it again. It is the morning of September 15th, 2024. This is Rock Hard Caucus. Iowa's favorite show, Iowa's best show, Iowa's only show.
Facts. Iowa's formerly meanest podcast. Now we're not as mean.
We need to get I bet we can find some opportunities to be mean today. Yeah. I'm going to do my best to be mean.
If you're mean, please reach out to Justin to get on the podcast, because he and I aren't that mean.
We're going soft.
Yeah, we're Rock Hard Caucus is going soft.
Rock soft. What's something that's soft?
Pillows. I
was thinking pillows also, but I was thinking, what's a one-syllable word that's something soft?
Fluff.
What?
Fluff, which is what goes in pillows.
Fluff soft caucus. That's somehow more offensive than the regular podcast name.
Yeah.
Well, okay, it's been a big week in news and politics, and so I have too much here on our plate. There's no way we're going to cover it all. But preempting everything is this morning's release of the latest Selzer poll. Des Moines Register is really pumping this one. Everyone needs to see it because bombshells have been dropped in the presidential race in Iowa. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I do think it's significant.
Yeah.
The headline is Kamala Harris is 4 points behind Trump in this latest poll in Iowa. Mm-hmm. This is not a national poll. It is an Iowa poll.
Yeah.
And that's still losing, but it's significant because the last time this race was polled in Iowa, Joe Biden was the candidate and was losing by 18 points. So I think anyone who may have been skeptical of Joe Biden's electoral chances has been extremely vindicated. Not that there was any doubt, right?
Oh, there was doubt. There was doubt. If you went on certain places on the internet, there was pundits telling you that I still think about this all the time, but people saying Biden needs to turn his campaign around. He needs to go on a media tour. He needs to go on Hot Ones. That's what's going to do it for him. Literally, fucking Jamel Bowie of the New York Times said that Joe Biden should go on Hot Ones, shortly before the debate. And then after the debate, they were all saying that he was going to stay on and that we have to close ranks and support our Joe. It's funny because wild, so wild.
Their position was that it is out of the realm of possibility that a presidential candidate can step down from the campaign, but it is in the realm of possibility that 90-year-old Joe Biden can eat hot wings on camera and hold a conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. Very, very big brain.
And I have not really dug into the poll at all. I don't know if the details matter. I mean, I don't think she's going to win, but I didn't think it would be this close in a poll at all. So who knows? Probably going to have good effects on down ballot stuff, but I don't know. They're not going to turn it all around in one election, I assume.
Yeah, now you have to vote for her. There's no excuses.
Let's put a pin in that for a second. The only detail from the Register article that I really wanted to talk about, my favorite part of these is when they quote people who were polled.
Yeah.
Because you get some real salt of the earth. Like this guy who is a registered Republican in Cedar Rapids. And apparently he said he is probably going to vote for Trump, but he's not 100%.
So he's definitely going to vote for Trump then.
I mean, yeah. I think he probably just wanted to have someone to talk to. But I really liked this bit that he said. The problem is they don't have anybody who knows what the real people are going through. I'm sorry, you've got a person that's been there for 4 years that hasn't really done nothing. You know, her and that Joe have not done nothing, really. And then you got Trump, who's a billionaire or whatever he is. He doesn't know what the real people are really like. People who just live day to day. And I love that it's, accurately quoted. It really captures the vernacular of this particular man.
This guy's an Iowa man through and through.
Yeah. But, think about the very basic idea he's communicating there. Do you think that's an unwinnable person from a further left type of ideology?
I don't think so. I think maybe if you were to offer that guy something like, maybe if Biden was, parroting stuff other than the Inflation Reduction Act or shit that no one normal would ever care about. Maybe if you just said government public funded healthcare, that might actually win a guy like that over. Maybe.
Yeah. I don't know. I get the impression that he would be resistant to that type of idea.
Probably, but
at first, at least. But,
I don't know.
Yeah, this seems like someone you could at least have a conversation with and maybe persuade a certain direction.
Yeah, well, I mean, just going back to 2020, Bernie was polling better among Republicans than literally any other candidate on the Democratic side. Just because, specifically for the reason that he does speak to more average people than. I mean, all the Democrat messaging is almost specifically designed for elites and professional people.
Yeah.
And they're
you got to be
eating shit among uncollege educated people who don't have a college degree.
Right. Which is you, so you can speak for these people.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not convinced. So I'm among the people who are in the working class who will not necessarily vote for Kamala Harris.
Yeah. And I'm on the other end. I have too many degrees.
Yeah. You're extremely well educated, which means that you're in the bag. You're in the bag for Kamala.
Yeah.
Solely because of those pieces of paper that you possess.
I went to school for too long, which means I have to vote for Democrats.
Mm-hmm. And you're an artist. And all artists are Democrats.
Yeah, that's been my experience. Okay, so that kind of leads into what I wanted to talk about a little bit next. The debate between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump, which was on Tuesday, which we did watch some of, but I absolutely tuned out, maybe 2/3 of the way through.
Yeah, we had our own little debate outside of the regular debate.
Yeah, I got distracted again. It's very easy to bait me into a conversation about whether the Joker movie is a Batman movie.
Yep.
The answer is no, of course.
No. Yeah. You're right on.
Okay, so the thing that is getting the most attention, probably deservedly so, is Trump's insistence that Haitian immigrants are eating people's pets. Good American white people's pets, which are, of course, valued more highly than human life, is the pets of good suburban Ohio white people.
Are you fucking kidding me? People will if you do the trolley problem with humans on one side and dogs on the other, humans are getting they're getting run over.
It is funny the way that he insisted that it's real because he saw it on TV, but it's also, more than that, it's horrifying that they're pushing this so hard and still are several days later.
It's racial incitement.
Yeah, they're doing fucking Nazi shit very openly. Chris Rufo, that fucking guy, he either yesterday or the day before, he posted this video. He's like, I have definitive proof that Haitian immigrants are eating people's pets. And the definitive proof is a 10-second video someone recorded from inside of their apartment of a grill with some stuff on it. It's what the fuck?
They got grills now? They're immigrants have grills?
But no, there's no people in the video. So it's you don't know what's on the grill. You don't know who's grilling. You don't know where this is or when it was recorded.
Origin of the meat on the grill.
And he's like, yep, completely vindicated. The media is lying about J.D. Vance.
Yeah. Yeah, and then there is that photo of that guy who was like he's like carrying a goose or something, and it turns out that it was like a goose that got ran over, and he was just like,
just getting out of the road or something.
Removing it, yeah, like,
yeah, and I mean, if you're gonna start from they're gonna kill your dog, and your proof of that is a goose, like, come on.
Yeah, gooses are pretty low on the hierarchy of animals that people care about. They're fucking assholes. I hate gooses.
How do you think most people feel about geese? Geese are fucking dicks. They're very territorial. They'll hiss at you just for being around.
Yeah, I worked for a place where they had a bunch of very aggressive gooses that would like bother people when they were coming into the office, and so they put like it's like a bobcat like statue out in front to try to like scare the geese away. It's very funny.
Did it work at all?
No. Geeses don't give a fuck.
Yeah, no.
Geeses don't give a fuck.
You've seen those like fake owl statues that businesses will use to like keep small birds away or whatever. Or I guess probably to keep vermin out. I don't know what it's for. Anyway, I was just remembering when I was like 14 and me and Glenn stole one of those from a store near my house. Just teenage adventures in Cedar Rapids. Anyway, yeah, the Haitian immigrants thing, like, it's bringing me dangerously close to becoming a liberal because it's just so blatantly evil. It's like they have to lose. This is fucked.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and apparently J.D. Vance this morning was pressured into saying that it was not fake or not true. And then he said, well, if I have to lie to make the media cover like what's happening to the American people, then I'll do it. Like, just literally, like Joseph Goebbels, like, I will do the propaganda for racism, like, I will do the propaganda to make sure that racism wins. Like, you
can't just, like, what is going through his mind? You can't just go on national TV and say, yeah, I did lie, but for a good cause. And the good cause being like inciting white supremacists. Like, what the fuck?
Literally. Yeah.
Like, all you did was lie about a minority group in a small town in Ohio. You know, like, you're just trying to get people killed.
100%. It's awful.
Okay, so that's...
So you're voting for Kamala, then? You've come around.
I will withhold my answer for a minute. Yeah, that alone, I mean, not that they haven't crossed a lot of, like, fascist lines in the past, but this one in particular just is really fucking grating. But fortunately, I was paying enough attention to the debate to not reach the point of earnestly cheerleading for Democrats.
Yeah, Kamala made it pretty easy to not want to earnestly cheer for her during that debate.
Yeah. Like, my two big takeaways being the talk of immigration, you know, very related to the lying about Haitian immigrants thing, you know, just insisting that, like, no, actually, we're the serious border control party. We're actually going to be the best at keeping the brown people out. It's like, why? What does she gain by doing that?
Yeah. Well, and then, like, her response to the Trump shit is just be like, oh, that's so extreme. Like, you're doing absolutely nothing to defend these people. Like, you're not, like...
Yeah,
you're
exactly.
Like, it's fucking completely weak.
Yeah, the moral position to take is these are human beings who have equal value to me and you. And they have as much a right to live where they want and do what they want as you do.
Which would be a good thing to say if you actually believe that, but Kamala Harris doesn't.
Exactly. Yeah, that's not something that is acceptable to say in American politics.
Yeah, no, she's literally doing turning the racism dial and seeing how the crowd responds. Like, that's her whole campaign.
Mm-hmm. So there was that, and then there was also, I think, the one question that they asked about Israel, in which she emphasized how Hamas was killing and raping innocent people. Mm-hmm. Which now, almost a year later, if that's the only thing that you're willing to say about the situation, you are missing almost everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's fucking awful. Like, it was just a competition to see who could say that they love Israel the most.
I also think that killing and raping is bad. And so I think that a really good way to reduce the number of deaths and rapes is to stop supporting the state of Israel and, you know, holding them accountable for the 1,000 times more killing.
I was going to say they killed a lot more innocent people. In fact, they killed a lot of innocent people on October 7th because it literally just came out that they were like the fucking military helicopters like fucking firing on Israeli citizens and blaming it on Hamas, of course.
When you say it just came out, like it just came out another time in another outlet.
Right.
The Samson Directive, I believe they call that.
No, the Samson Directive is the one where they're gonna, if anyone were to nuke Israel, that they would nuke the entire fucking world. I think.
Sure.
There's another. That
makes sense because that is analogous to the story of Samson tearing down the pillars.
Exactly. Yeah. There's another. It has another name, but it's. Yeah, basically, like, we would rather kill an Israeli hostage than let them be captured.
Taken hostage. Yeah. And you know, the huge controversy over whether they should be allowed to rape Palestinian prisoners.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, fucking protesting for the right to rape Palestinian prisoners. Despicable country.
They're doing bad stuff over there. And I wish I was not a party to it.
Yeah, me too. So you're voting for Kamala then?
Right. So I can look. There's a lot of people who are absolutely disgusted by Donald Trump and J.D. Vance and all of that, and they feel a responsibility to vote against that, to prevent them from taking power again. And I can understand that, and I don't judge people for feeling that way, but I do judge people who are earnestly, enthusiastically speaking out about how great they think the Democratic Party is in contrast.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
It's like you can want them to beat Trump, but you gotta be fucking serious here.
Yeah, I don't think our positions have changed on this at all. Like it doesn't really matter what you do in the state of Iowa.
Yeah. Well, the heat's going to be on us a little bit more now because of that poll that shows them closer. Because now I can't as like explicitly say, "Oh, there's no chance," so you have no. Like,
right. Honestly,
which was sort of my cheap, getting out of it.
Yeah.
Ploy,
you should never. You should do whatever you want at the voting poll booth or whatever, but don't fucking tell anyone what you're doing 100% either way. Like, that's honestly what you should be doing. It doesn't really matter what you actually do there, but just don't fucking, like, tell people what you're going to do. Make them guess. Especially if they're working for the fucking campaign. Like, I don't know. Yeah. I haven't seen any door knockers. I haven't gotten any phone calls, but I'm absolutely never, ever telling anyone that I'm going to vote for Kamala Harris.
No, because even if you will, you got to tell them you're not going to, and you got to tell them why.
Yeah, you tell them no. Even if you're planning on it, tell them no.
No, because I want an arms embargo on Israel.
Specifically, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, don't delude yourself that if Kamala Harris becomes the president in a few months, that America is good. That's the most important thing.
Yeah.
This nation is a force for evil, both to its own citizens and to everyone in the world. And voting for one presidential candidate over another is not going to fix that problem. That is a long-term problem that, look, I don't know what to really do, but there's...
Yeah.
Just don't be happy about it. That's all I'm asking.
For real.
Okay, and the other thing that came out this week, or at least, I don't know, I've seen a lot of people talking about it. Laura Loomer is like an important part of the Trump campaign now.
No, actually, she's a civilian or whatever the fuck Trump said about her. Yeah. She's just working in her private capacity as a citizen.
Right.
To, hang out with Trump and look longingly into his eyes.
That's part of the speculation, is that they are lovers, apparently.
Yeah. That's what Milo Yiannopoulos, or whatever the fuck his name is, has come out and said, which, I mean, take it with a grain of salt, but apparently Trump got the best blowjob of his life, which is one of the most horrifying sentences that's probably ever been said on this fucking podcast. Yes, he did say that. He said it was unlikely that she was pregnant because Trump doesn't do that with his mistresses, and it's mostly just blowjobs. But then there was another tweet he said.
I think he said that neither of those people are interested in that type of sex, something like that.
Yeah. That type of sex.
Vaginal intercourse is not an interest of theirs.
I don't know. You can cut that if you want, but yeah, it's really crazy that Laura Loomer, of all people, is like relevant again in 2024.
I can't handle it.
Connected to like one of the most powerful people in the fucking country.
A guy who was the president and might be again. She's like hanging off his shoulder. What the fuck? That made me remember the last time we talked about Laura Loomer on this show was on our 131st episode, which was shortly before the Iowa caucuses. And if you recall, we were watching a video of Laura Loomer sort of harassing Ron DeSantis in a hotel lobby and being ignored completely. And the video ended with like a big boom and a logo that said Loomered. So just, you know, 8 months ago, that's where she was at, was, you know, just
incredible hustle.
Just and now she's like part of a presidential campaign.
Yeah, and it's funny because they're now having to like defend from being associated with her. Like JD Vance had to be like, oh, like I don't agree with her saying that if Kamala gets elected to the White House, then it'll smell like curry. Like, just like fucking crazy.
Yeah. I saw some like news clip on YouTube when I woke up this morning about that, and the first thing that they called out from Loomer is that she said 9/11 is an inside job, as if that's like the most controversial thing she said. Right. I like that should be acceptable in like mainstream politics at this point.
Question everything.
That's
man.
Pretty tame, you know. Oh, I forgot she also ran for Congress.
Oh yeah,
Laura
me too.
Loomer did. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure that went well. Obviously.
Oh, that's actually a great segue, bringing up 9/11 being an inside job, because 9/11 was this week too.
Yeah, happy birthday. Belated birthday.
Yay, I'm 34 years old now, still acting like this. We both received an email from someone running for Congress on the morning of September 11th, the Iowa 3rd District candidate Lanon Beckham, who we've talked about a good amount over the past few months, ever since he had that very controversial primary win against Melissa Vine.
Yeah.
It was stolen from her.
Yeah, justice for fucking Melissa Vine. She would have been a way better candidate, like 100%, unironically.
Well, let's take an example here of, why we might not vibe with Lanon Beckham so much. His message to his email list on the morning of September 11th. The events of September 11th, 2001 changed the course of history and impacted the lives of every American. As an enlisted soldier in the Iowa Army National Guard, I knew my service would likely be called upon, and in May 2004, my boots hit the ground in Kandahar. So it's almost 3 years after 9/11.
Yeah.
I forget when he said he actually enlisted, but I think it was shortly after 9/11.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And
it had to.
He was 17 years old and had to get like a special document signed by his parents or something. So he was real gung-ho to get over there. And it unfortunately took 2.5 years before he finally got to go to Afghanistan. I was mobilized for 15 months and spent 366 days in Afghanistan. My battle buddies and I built a brotherhood.
Bro, battle buddies.
Alliteration out the ass in that little section there. My battle buddies and I built a brotherhood.
I don't know, man. I'm thinking of just Fortnite. Is that what you do when you party up with people in Fortnite? Like, I don't know. I never played that shit, but
yeah. I think he got this from Dr. Seuss. My battle buddies and I built a brotherhood. And together we defended our country in a time of war. I have dedicated my life to service, from 8 years in the Army Guard to 10 years in the U.S. Department of Agriculture, and I won't stop now. Today, we can all commit to service to our country by finding ways to strengthen our community and connections to each other. Together, we can ensure that our best days are still ahead. Okay, there's a bit that I agree with near the end there, strengthening our community and connections to each other.
Generic shit, though.
Yeah, I don't know that really squares with the eagerness to go and join your battle buddies in a country that we're pounding the shit out of.
Yeah. I mean, I got this email and I was just like, why? Like, this is targeted to people who are already, like, Democrat-leaning people. Like, who does this convince, like, of anything? I mean, other than, I guess, again, he just wants to talk about his military record because that's, honestly, the only thing he has going for him is his resume, and that's, I'm sure, why he got picked. Like, he's not charismatic. He, like, doesn't talk about policy, like, at all. Like, can't even talk about policy when pressed on it. Like, the only thing going for him is that he served in the military, and then he worked for Tom Vilsack, which is, I guess, just the fucking shortcut to becoming an Iowa congressional candidate. Like, just be hooked up with Tom Vilsack and, like, have a good resume that, and he's an immigrant, which also is going to be, a factor for a lot of people. Yeah,
he has a good, like, American dream kind of narrative.
Yeah, exactly.
His family escaping a war-torn area, which a little bit America's fault, maybe. But
I just keep thinking of Amy McGrath. Do you remember her? This is a little different. She ran against
Kentucky?
Mitch McConnell. Yeah, she ran against Mitch McConnell.
And it was a very similar thing. She's like an Air Force pilot,
She's
right?
an Air Force pilot, yeah. And, like, basically, like, tons and tons of people, like, they were, like, emailing, like, crazy email campaigns to get national Democrats to donate to her, which they did. She raised, like, a shit ton of money and then, of course, like, lost
easily,
Lost, handily. But, yeah, like, they're specifically targeting people like candidates like this in red states. I think, like, the most anodyne people with resumes that appeal to right wingers. Like,
yeah. And I can kind of see the fundraising strategy in the Amy McGrath situation. It's like, you're going to raise a ton of money, she's going to lose, and then what is left of that money goes into the party, the big pit of money they have.
Yeah. I would bet now with this new poll coming out,
has a shot, right?
Yeah. I was going to say with the new poll coming out, I'm sure that, like, a lot more money is probably going to be, like, pumped into his campaign. I would guess at this point, I don't know, I haven't seen any polls, but I would guess that he's probably ahead of Zach Nunn if you were to poll it today. Just based on the Selzer poll and the fact that, things have shifted towards Democrats. And Iowa 3 is the most competitive for sure of the the 4 districts, I think.
I think right now that is the case. Yeah. And, speaking of a bunch of money that's about to be poured into our state because of the Selzer poll, we're probably going to start seeing and hearing a lot more political advertisements. And sometime between now and the general election, we're going to have to do at least one episode of Rock Hard Caucus focused on campaign ads. And I've got the congressional races covered, the federal stuff. I am collecting all those ads, but there's a lot going on in smaller races, weirder people overall. So if you're in our listening area, our broadcast area, and you hear a weird ad that might be funny for us to talk about, please get in touch and send us that ad. rockhardcaucus@gmail.com is probably the easiest way to do that.
Yeah.
So while we're on the subject of Lannan Beckham, though, reading that email and just laughing at how nothing it is, it reminded me that our friend Dexter Merschbrock had sent me an interview that Lannan Beckham did at the state fair on August 15th. Was that the day that we were there?
I don't think so. I think that was a little later.
Yeah, that was a few days after we were there. But anyway, Lannan Beckham was interviewed by Simon Conway at the Iowa State Fair on August 15th. How much do you know about Simon Conway, Evan?
Very little. I know he's right-wing radio guy.
Yes,
and
exactly.
He's inexplicably British.
Yes. I don't know a lot about him either, so I was doing a little bit of research just to catch up. Born in London, lived in Israel for a while, and now is here. Not sure how exactly that happened, but he replaced Steve Dace on WHO in 2011. WHO being a Des Moines radio station, which we actually mentioned last week because Ronald Reagan used to be on WHO.
Yeah.
And Steve Dace is super right wing, and Simon Conway is roughly the same, but appropriate for being like on the airwaves. And if you look through his recent interviews, it's almost all conservatives. Marionette Miller Meeks the other day, Kevin Sorbo a couple days before that, also talked about him last week.
Wow.
Jeff Kaufman, Iowa GOP chair. Laura Trump, who is like one of the daughters.
Is she the one who was like he like turned against him?
Maybe. I didn't listen to that.
No, apparently not.
Okay. You go back a little bit further, you see, and I'm skipping a lot of names because it's like people I don't know who they are. Sam Clovis, that's a good one. And then, Iowa State Auditor Rob Sand.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, that makes sense, actually.
Yeah.
He'll go on any podcast or radio show other than ours.
You go about a week before that, Iowa State Auditor Rob Sand. So he's gone on more than once. Anyway, mostly conservatives, and then you got Rob Sand a few times, but also Lanam Bakam.
They're all conservatives, let's be clear.
Yes. If you look at Simon Conway's Wikipedia page, there's a long controversy section. The one that I really want to highlight here is, after the conviction of Molly Tibbetts' killer, Conway reaffirmed his beliefs on deportation and removal of illegal immigrants, despite, and stating this on his show, the wishes of Tibbetts' parents to not make her death about race or citizenship. Just one example of this guy being an absolute piece of shit. So, Lanam Bakam went on the show. You got to get your name
Good
out
idea.
there.
Yeah,
I'm sure a ton of people listen to him, and he's in that district. You got to get your name out there. So I did pull a couple clips from that. It's a 21-minute clip on the podcast feed. About a third of that is taken up by ads. So that's the state of broadcast radio right now, terrestrial radio.
Terrestrial.
First clip I wanted to play you is here.
A candidate for the 3rd Congressional District. I'm really going to try hard not to mess up your name. Lanam Bakam. How did I do?
Simon, you got it. I'm excited to be here today. Really appreciate the opportunity to speak with you and your listeners.
So this is a professional broadcaster who spent his whole life doing this. Mm-hmm. Just has to hammer on, you have a foreign name. Let me just, I'll try real hard to get it right.
He practiced that name, you know it, because he got it 100% right.
Yeah, exactly. Lanam Bakam is a little unusual for a Iowa-raised country bumpkin like myself, but this is a, cultured British man. Like,
yeah. That's
he's playing
definitely
that
what I
up
think
so
of. When I
much.
think of British people, I think, wow, these people are so cultured. That's definitely the first thing that comes to mind thinking about England.
I guess what I mean is this is a man who has clearly traveled the world a good bit, more than me, right? Okay, and then two other topics that I want to make sure we listen to a little bit of their conversation about. There was some sort of stolen valor controversy about Tim Walz, which I was not following at all. But Simon really presses Lanam on this.
We can respect the service that the people put in.
I do. I just don't respect stolen valor. I notice you haven't answered that. Simple question. What do you think about stolen valor in general?
Well, I don't think anyone should be taking positions where they haven't done things, obviously. In any scenario, I don't know how we can, as a group and a community, really know when someone makes a statement in any type of situation where they very well could have made a misstatement, and we can let those things go if that was not intentional.
Okay. So I don't know. Well, we'll move on because we have limited time, obviously, and I want to get to many other things.
So, does this sound to you like a person who was prepared for a combative interview?
No. How come every time I've heard this man speak, it just sounds like he's on a permanent filibuster? Like he's just padding the word count?
Yeah, I again, I haven't really followed or cared about the Tim Walz stolen valor controversy, which I why not just say that? You know, why not just say, I think this is just kind of some bullshit that like right wingers online are latching onto, and I don't think it's consequential at all. So.
Yeah, well, realistically, what is he going to say to that? You know, yeah, Tim Walz stole valor, like, and he should be ashamed of himself. And I'm no longer supporting his
yeah.
Like, well, what is? Yeah, it's just a trap. Which is the whole thing is a fucking trap, and it's hilarious that he.
Yeah, you shouldn't step into the trap. Yeah. Okay, this is a almost 3-minute clip, and I'm not going to play the whole thing for you. But the argument is about Lennon's social media, which I guess prior to running for office had a lot of stuff about working with the Biden administration and criticizing Donald Trump. And I guess a lot of his old posts got deleted.
Yeah,
which is a huge fucking deal. We got to freak out about this. So Simon is pressing him on this, and I'll play a few seconds and probably skip around in this.
You did, however, when you started running, you used to be the deputy state director for the Biden campaign. You wiped all of that from your social media. Why?
Yeah, that's not. There's no question whatsoever here that the positions I've taken, the work that I have done in the past, I'm proud of it. There's nothing intentional here in terms of what may or may not have happened. The reality is, I have not hidden from the fact that I had the incredible honor of serving and working for this administration at the USDA, the U.S. Department of Agriculture, working with Secretary Tom Vilsack, working with our farmers, our ranchers, our veterans, and in particular having the chance to deploy rural economic development programs all across this country.
Okay, so
filibuster, straight up.
Resume. All right, I'm going to skip a minute or so. And
it may or may not have happened, even though it like literally happened. Just
no
say
question.
like, I mean, God, it's so ridiculous.
Let's see if they made any progress in another minute of arguing about it.
Campaign operation.
Okay. Did someone else do it? Did someone else wipe your social media, or did you wipe your social media? It's a simple question.
Well, Simon, I'll put it this way. I don't go on my social media account and do all the nitty-gritty of the actions on there. Let's put it that way. I have a lot of things I'm working on, so there are teams of people who work on things for me.
Lennon, I like you, man. I really do. I think you're...
I like you, man. So he's sort of blaming someone else for it. Not that it matters, but...
Yeah.
And then I'll just play the last bit of this and see if they come to a resolution.
There were attacks on former President Trump. You wiped it, or someone else did. And it's just the why question is strange to me. So anyway, we've tried 3 or 4 times to get a straight answer. You said my team. That strikes me as someone else. Do you want to tell me someone else did it, or did you do it?
I think it's pretty clear here, Simon. Someone else did this.
All right, there we go. It took us a while, but at least we got there. Thank you very much.
Wow.
So again, that's almost 3 minutes that they spent on that.
Yeah.
3 minutes of a 20-minute interview. And that's including the ads. So probably a 15-minute interview, if that.
And then his final thing is just not taking responsibility for it. It was it was somebody else. I mean, yeah, obviously a campaign decision. Like, I don't know. You just say that from the start, you know. I mean, I guess it doesn't look great to be like, oh, I'm distancing myself from Joe Biden. Mm-hmm. But you're running in fucking a red state. So, like... Yeah. It's pretty obvious why you did it. Like,
it is a funny thing to, like, press him on and, like, insist that he answers for it.
Yeah.
Because, we all know why you would do that. But it's funny to force him to answer that question.
It is funny. I mean, we got a good clip out of it, so...
Yeah. And it also just doesn't matter, but it doesn't
fucking
funny.
matter.
It is funny to listen to him squirm over something. Which actually,
that's the answer. Is like, it doesn't fucking matter. Like, no one's like going to Lennon Bakam's Twitter to like who fucking cares?
Yeah. If this man has ever look, I'm willing to vote for him, but if he has ever criticized Donald Trump on Twitter, I can't do it. I can't cross that line. And then I did not clip any of this, but just so everyone knows, the last 5 minutes of this interview is an awful argument about abortion. Where Simon Conway, of course, believes abortion is killing babies, a phrase that he repeats many, many times. And he wants to, overall, the entire population of any state in this country does not agree with the standard Republican Party position that we should be restricting abortion to the extent that it is being restricted, right? Mm-hmm. So to twist that, they have to say, oh, these people want you to kill a baby right after it's been born. We've seen it a million times, right? Yeah. That's the only way they can try to flip that issue. Mm-hmm. So that's just what this guy Simon was doing. And I don't think Lannon's answer was good, but I also don't think, like, all you can really say is, like, you gotta just let people make their own decisions about their bodies, right? Mm-hmm. What can you say? Like, shut up. Yeah, and he just repeats the question 100 times, like, do you think abortion should be allowed in the 9th month? And Lannon's just like, this isn't really what the government should be doing. And it just demonstrates that this was a bad idea to go on this show. Yeah.
Yeah, what did he gain? Exactly. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of Republican voters who are, like, eager to vote for him now that they heard this interview. Yeah.
You heard him sort of flailing for 45 seconds at a time, not really saying anything. And yeah, just not a super charismatic guy. Speaking, not totally a strength of his. A radio interview, maybe not. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Maybe not the medium for you, especially in an interview where the interviewer is opposed to you winning.
Yeah.
Okay, so speaking of winning and losing in the stupid election coming up, the Libertarians are officially not going to appear on the ballots in the second, third, and fourth districts, I think. I don't think we have a Libertarian candidate. Oh, no, we do in the first. Okay, the first, third, and fourth. That's what we've got. It's right in front of me. Yeah, so this week, the Iowa Supreme Court heard arguments on either side of this. We talked about this a bit last week. The reason that this was in question at all is because the Libertarians nominated their candidates 3 hours too early or something. They didn't follow proper caucus procedure, which I think we all know is bullshit, but if that's the letter of the law, and the Republicans who hold power over this decision know that, I guess the math is that if you cut the Libertarians out, it probably helps the Republicans at the end of the day.
Yeah, like, I mean, maybe.
Probably not to a great degree, but anyway, I pulled this from an article from the AP. This is such a big deal that it's getting national coverage. AP headline is Libertarian candidates for Congress will be left off Iowa ballots after final court decision. And also Paul Pate was on the panel that decided that. It was Paul Pate,
fuck
Brenna
Paul
Bird,
Pate.
Rob Sand. Sand was on the side of the Libertarians, but he was outvoted 2-1. Sorry. Just last time we talked about it, I forgot Paul Pate was the third one. Yeah. Okay, so reading from the AP. Ultimately, Libertarian nominees Nicholas Gluba in the 1st District, Marco Battaglia in the 3rd, and Charles Aldrich in the 4th will not be named on general election ballots. Okay, they will not appear on your ballot. When you get the ballot and you fill it out, no Libertarians. Battaglia said after Tuesday's hearing that the challenges were an unfair attack and that he's done everything he could to make sure things were done the right way. I will stay in until the end of the race regardless. I plan to do that no matter what happened today or yesterday or tomorrow, he said, saying he'd run a write-in campaign. That's the alternative they leave me with, but I'm fine with that if that's how they decide. So this quote is from before they made their final decision, I think. So he has, true to his word, he is now running a write-in campaign.
Yeah. More like a post-in campaign, because this motherfucker cannot stop posting everywhere. I see him everywhere.
Yeah.
He's apparently not, on Nextdoor. He's apparently...
Oh, really?
Yeah, apparently my mom said she saw some shit on Nextdoor that he was posting. He's like colonized every single platform to get the message out.
Yeah. that is sort of following in the footsteps of Ron Paul 2008.
Yeah, that's right.
Just posts until he wins. He is not well respected on the Des Moines subreddit. To be fair, I don't think we are either.
I don't know if they know about us.
Well, we're
not self-promoters like that.
Yeah. But one guy who listens to our show used to post our episodes on there, and
right. Yeah,
they were not
well received.
Probably
didn't get a lot of engagement on that.
No.
I remember one of them called like Stella a man or something, which is so fucked up.
I don't know what was going on there, but they said something like that guy has cool glasses.
Yeah, but they knew what they were doing. That's fucked up.
Yeah,
I think I'm not giving any.
Redditor.
I'm not. Yeah, exactly.
Why give them
exactly? I'm not going to give them any benefit of the doubt.
Yeah. So I received. Oh, you know what? Before I read this, I do want to. Speaking of write-in campaigns, Guillermo Morales, who was fired from his position as the executive director of the Johnson County Board of Supervisors, he is officially running for one of the seats now, also in a write-in campaign. So if you live around me here in Johnson County, I do think that's worthwhile. It's a extremely uphill battle. Probably not going to win on a write-in campaign, especially during a general election when there's a lot of people actually voting.
Yeah.
But I do think that he is a good guy, certainly better than the people he's running against. And I'm going to write him in. For all the good it's going to do, I'm going to write him in. Guillermo Morales. Guillermo, if you don't know, is spelled Guillermo. Morales is Morales. So join me in writing him in. And I may try to interview him, but I don't know. We'll see. Okay, so I did want to read this. Speaking of posting, Marco also sends DMs, and he sent one to us. And this, I think this is interesting as like kind of a behind the scenes thing, because no one has seen this unless you've also been receiving messages from Marco Battaglia. But Allison Smith, the news director at KCCI, sent this note to Marco Battaglia, who was running for Congress as a libertarian, or is, but now is not on the ballot. Mm-hmm. KCCI is hosting a debate for that congressional district. Thank you for reaching out with your concern. When the debate invitation was sent out, your name had been removed from the ballot. We understand that may change depending on the Iowa Supreme Court's decision. So again, this was before the Supreme Court decided that no, he's not on the ballot. So that's the rationale for not inviting him to the debate. Regardless of the decision reached by the Supreme Court, KCCI will not be inviting additional candidates to participate in the debate. Our objective, predetermined debate inclusion criteria included polling thresholds and fundraising benchmarks. There is currently no publicized polling in the 3rd District race. So, however, the most recent FEC filings show Zach Nunn and Lenon Bacam with cash on hand well in excess of $1 million in each case. The most recent Committee to Elect Marco Battaglia to Congress FEC Form 99 notes that the committee has not met the $5,000 threshold for reporting campaign contributions or expenditures. Thus, your campaign did not meet our threshold for inclusion in the debate.
Stop pocket watching. Like, what the fuck?
I don't know. I appreciate that she explained the rationale there. I'm not sure that they've ever, have I watched a KCCI debate? Probably not. But do they ever explain the threshold that needs to be met in a public forum? I don't know if they do.
Yeah, I don't know. Not sure. But there is like 100% a conspiracy between Democrats, Republicans, and the media to ice out any third-party candidates. Like, that's just fucking fact at this point. Like, it's fucked up and bad, and I don't even like any third-party candidates.
Yeah. That's what's frustrating about it. Is like most people don't give a shit. That's kind of what being a third-party fringe candidate is like, you will represent a small minority of the electorate, people who feel strongly enough about whatever like specific issue motivates them to sort of not vote for people who actually win. And what would be the harm? What would be the harm of having Marco Battaglia at that debate?
Yeah, I can't really see. It would be much more entertaining. He would probably say some really cool stuff. Like, it'd probably be, Zach Nunn and fucking
that's going to be a
Lanon Bacom. That's a snoozer. And yeah, he might, he might say some good stuff. And he's not a threat to you anyway.
Right. I think that, I don't know, KCCI probably just thinks it's a waste of time. Why give this guy any of our media time? But, okay, when was the last time a third-party candidate was in a big debate? I don't think it's happened since Ross Perot, right?
Yeah, that's probably it, right?
And people still talk about that. That was TV gold.
Yeah.
You gotta let weirdos into debates. I know that we got this first past the post, two-party bullshit. Third parties are never gonna win, but come on, you have no heart if you don't like them a little bit.
Yeah. We will show love to any fringe weirdos. On some level, at least, even if we hate your politics.
Yeah. You
got to respect it a little bit.
Yeah. And that's kind of our position on libertarianism.
Also,
right?
I would say that all of the third-party candidates are actively less evil than either Kamala Harris or Donald Trump.
No doubt.
Even if they are grifters or whatever, at least their publicly stated positions are better.
Yeah, I think that libertarianism taken as a whole is horseshit, bad for people, and the parts of it that are bad are already baked into the American system.
Yeah, for sure.
They're already winning, even if they're not literally in power. But I do think individual libertarians typically are not so evil.
Yeah,
I don't think Marco is a horrible person. I don't want to talk too much about that. But yeah, I think that I agree with him on more than I probably agree with Lanon Bacom or Zach Nunn.
Yeah.
And they should put him on TV.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen some of the stuff, he's talking about, why the fuck are, fentanyl test strips illegal here? That's, fucking evil. That's awful.
Absolutely. It is.
And that's an issue that no one else is going to talk about. They're not going to talk about that on the fucking KCCI debate stage.
Yeah. Okay, let's close out today with something fun. Something, I guess a lot of this has been fun. The libertarian thing was fun, but this is even more fun, I think. And that is this piece published in the Gazette on the 12th about my congressional representative, Marionette Miller Meeks. And the headline is, "Where does Marionette Miller Meeks live?" So there is an ethics probe. A LeClaire resident is asking the Federal Office of Congressional Ethics to investigate Marionette Miller Meeks' voting address. And I don't think I had an opportunity to mention this on the show, but I went to a Labor Day picnic and Christina Bohannon was there. And I talked to her briefly. I wanted to get her on the record about sending weapons to Israel, just like we did with Lanon Bacom. That wasn't going to happen.
Yeah.
But I did talk to her campaign manager for a minute. Gave her my email address as if they're ever going to contact me. But she was telling me, she was kind of hinting that this was coming. She told me there was some sort of ethics investigation that might happen with Marionette Miller Meeks that she was excited to get out in the media, and now it is. So we did not get a scoop on this, but I am excited to see this. So 2020 redistricting put Miller Meeks' home county, Wapello County, which is where Ottumwa is, which is where she has a house. That was moved from this district into the 3rd district. So Ottumwa now is lumped in with you in Des Moines. Mm-hmm. Miller Meeks said at the time she would not sell her house in Ottumwa, but would take up residence in the newly christened 1st District, which mostly overlapped with the district she represented before the 2020 redistricting. So the 1st District has Iowa City and Davenport.
Yeah.
So the southeast part of the state. And so she changed her registered voting address from Ottumwa to Scott County. LeClaire resident Joyce Kuhl, in her request to the Congressional Ethics Office, alleges public documents show Miller Meeks still primarily resides in her Ottumwa home.
Scandal. This is just a horrible scandal. I can't believe it.
I love when this happens.
It's so funny. They fucking, that's not, man, I don't want to be sympathetic to Miller Meeks here, but like, it's not, I'm not really going to say this is her fault.
This happened with that county supervisor in Sioux City. We talked about that a few months ago. That was very funny that he insisted he was living in this apartment alone, apart from his family. And then, God, there was another one of these like a few years ago. I think it was like a state house primary. Eddie Mauro, like, accused a primary opponent of doing this, I think.
Yeah, that sounds right. I don't remember.
Yeah,
but,
I think this happened to Megan Srinivas.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, she's good.
Yeah, so I don't care if she's lying about her address.
Yeah, well, I'm a little bit more sympathetic because, like, they moved. She did live in the district, and then it changed through nothing that she had to do anything to do with. Like, of course, like, what, you're just gonna like not live at your house that you've lived at forever?
Right. They've had this house since 2003. She and her husband Curtis built this home on the land that they've owned since 2003. The home was built in 2004.
Yeah, so
20
she should be grandfathered in.
Well, here's the thing. I didn't really know this, I don't think. Federal rules don't require members of Congress to live in the district they represent just to reside in the same state. So it would be legal for her to primarily reside in Ottumwa, list Ottumwa as her voting address, but represent the 1st District, which Ottumwa is just outside of. It would be legal, but would people be cool with that?
I can't imagine caring about this.
Well, but it's such an easy attack, right? Like,
Yeah, well,
she doesn't even live here.
Yeah,
but
she lives 10 miles west
yeah.
of here.
So what the ethics probe is about is that in order to act like she lives in this district, her voting address is in Scott County. But it's not legal to have your voting address not be like your primary residence. That's the problem.
Yeah, right.
So so it's not illegal to not live in the district you represent, but it doesn't look right. So in order to overcome the potential, any potential questions, she is breaking the law.
So she just loses. I mean, like, the ethics complaint is that she is illegally registered to vote in a residence that she doesn't live. So, like, what is the outcome of that? That she just doesn't get to vote for herself? If it's otherwise completely legal, like, okay, great.
Yeah. The most recent property tax statement lists that Miller Meeks and her husband received a homestead credit for the property the past 2 tax periods. Congressional disclosure reports in 22 and 23 list the mortgage on her personal residence. Campaign contributions list her Ottumwa address as her mailing address. Here, this is the quote from the request to the ethics board. Though Miller Meeks has been registered to vote at various addresses in Scott County for nearly 2 years now, the facts presented above strongly suggest that her residence, the home where she lives, and the primary home where she sleeps at night, that was in italics, I don't know if that's added by the Gazette or what, is in Wapello County. Thus, it appears she is violating Iowa voting law by remaining registered to vote and voting in a county and precinct where she does not reside. Miller Meeks' spokesperson responded to the Gazette because the Gazette asked, can you explain this? The answer was, the Congresswoman's residence is in Davenport, but did not answer any other questions. So here's, I don't know, here are some of my thoughts on this. Not that important, first of all, but funny to go after her for this.
Yeah.
And she deserves it. And this is kind of an interesting class thing, right? Because most people can't afford to live in more than one place.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But still, the law is restricting people who have the means to live in more than one place in a way that's kind of surprising. I'm surprised that we haven't loosened these restrictions for rich people.
Yeah.
Especially when
they got telehealth now. Why don't you could live anywhere in the fucking country and be an Iowa congressional representative.
Yeah. And especially for people who work in Congress, obviously she also lives in DC now.
Yeah.
It's pretty weird. I don't know. I hope that I hope that something bad happens to her because it would be funny. But
yeah, Iowa Supreme Court rules in another case that's just like completely a silly technicality. Like,
yeah. Okay, so like I said, too much on the agenda. We didn't get to everything, but reminder: vote against Judge David May on the judicial retention vote this November. There's another piece in the Des Moines Register about how it's unethical to vote against him. I think this one was written by, Alan Ostergren, who is, it's kind of his fault that the Libertarians got kicked off the ballot too. So don't listen to people like him. You should vote against David May for helping to restrict abortion access in Iowa. And there was another news article that we didn't get to about Iowa Republican lawmakers filing a lawsuit against the Summit proposed carbon capture pipeline. So that's good, and it's great that the Iowa Democrats are not latching on to this issue, which has broad popular support among a lot of the state.
Yeah, great news. I also saw that they had the first confirmed leak at a carbon capture facility today.
Oh, good.
Which is it was in Illinois, but not good stuff.
I've been told that those are very safe.
Yeah, very safe. People who made a lot of money telling you it's safe.
Yeah. I have a proposal for you, Evan. We received a lot of voicemails this week, and we've already gone over an hour just discussing news and politics. What would you think if we spun this off into an inaugural episode of a Patreon episode only talking about voicemails?
The only thing I would say is it might be shortchanging the people who called in and expected to hear it on a free episode, because they might not necessarily be Patreon subscribers.
That's true.
Actually, just buy the Patreon, like, if that's you.
Yeah, I mean, it is only behind a $1 paywall, so I don't feel super bad about it. But if you called in, you don't want to give us $1, but you do want to hear us talk about your phone call, just send me an email or something and I'll send the file to you. It's fine.
But yeah, I'm down with that.
Okay. We can do that also. I also have a piece of mail.
A package
that we can talk about too. But to end today's episode of Rock Hard Caucus, a couple of things to plug. I will be playing a solo set at Purgatory this Thursday, September 19th. Opening for a band from Seattle called Miss Cummings, a band from Las Vegas called Spring Breeding. I'm pretty sure there's a third touring act on this now that is not on this old version of the poster I have in front of me. But also Iowa City punk band God's Hand is playing. I'm very excited to share a bill with them. Purgatory this Thursday, September 19th. You can go to justinkcomer.com/shows for details on that and a few other shows I'm playing in the coming weeks and months. By the way, our Patreon we were just discussing, you can find that at patreon.com/rockhardcaucus, where we put a bunch of other shit. Pretty low barrier to entry, so if you have $1 burning a hole in your pocket every month, why not let that burn a hole in our pockets? Money is dangerous and flammable. Send it to us instead. I just released the 27th episode of Speed Freak Read Speak on Thursday night. And shit's getting pretty crazy with Knuckles and everybody. And sometime soon, Evan and I will get back to Slipknot. I had a guest tentatively lined up for the next episode of Bay Not Me Slippin', but it's not going to work out with them, so I just got to talk to somebody else, and then we'll get to the last studio album. Okay, we'll talk about that more off mic. So, abortion, by the way, you can still get one. Iowa law is restricting abortion, making it harder for you to make decisions about your own body and whether to take a pregnancy all the way through to birth. You know, that's a fucking big commitment, and you gotta have the right to make the decision that's right for you, because shit's hard out there. If you need help doing what you want to do with your body, check out autonomyiowacity.org. Check out iowaabortionaccessfund.org. There are resources to help you get the help that you need. If you're in Des Moines, City Council meeting tomorrow, September 16th, Monday. They plan on reading their anti-homeless ordinance again for a third time. which then means they can vote on it and make it law in Des Moines.
Well, they changed it, so they reduced the monetary fines for being homeless, which is definitely the thing that people were like. That was the main complaint, was that people were like,
The problem
these
is it was
fines
too
are
much.
these
It's just a little too
fines for
much.
the people who have absolutely no way to pay them are way too high. Like, it wasn't that it was a completely ridiculous, fucking fucked up thing to do in the first place.
Yeah, that's a real 21st century American solution.
Yeah.
Only charge people who have nothing a little bit. For the crime of
Existing in public.
not having anything. Yeah, you're not doing well enough, so we need to punish you so you can do even worse. That's going to fix the problem. Anyway, contact your members of city council, go to their meeting, tell them that you do not want this. You recognize people who don't have homes in Des Moines are humans like you. They deserve a good life instead of punishing them for having a bad life. You know what? I'll give a blanket plug to Des Moines Mutual Aid. Go to iowamutualaid.org. That's an organization committed to helping people as much as they can. There's also the Supply Hive. SupplyHiveDSM.org does the same thing. We're going to close out with some local music. There's a new album by a new band called Diet Product. Their new album's called New Ways to Stay the Same. It's sort of like a synth pop thing. They also use the term dark wave on their Bandcamp, which is dietproduct.bandcamp.com. What is dark wave? Like, I sort of know what it sounds like, but what does it mean?
I think it's just like gothy synth music.
Yeah. I think that's right. I like it. I don't know. Good stuff. New Ways to Stay the Same by Diet Product. And the song is called Whole New Game, which was, I listened to the whole album. This was one of my favorites. So that's the one that you're going to hear now. If you make music and you listen to our show and you live around here, I want to put your music right here at the end of an episode. Go to rockhardcock.us and you can send us your music so that we can do that. Okay, that's everything. Rockhard Caucus signing out. Go to our Patreon for the voicemail segment. We're going to do that. Thanks. Bye.
Let's do it. Bye.
Taking steps on a new way, sun in my eyes. Stop to rest for a few days, no end in sight. Pretty people running past me in a straight line. Watch my step to keep from crashing like all of the time.